welcome to this special coverage on KTN Prime. Now, on the second day of the status conference, the Supreme Court judges ruled that demands by Raila Odinga for a forensic audit of IEBC IT systems was time-barred. Odinga, through his lawyers, had sought court orders compelling IEBC to provide logs of 6 servers used in transmission of results to establish when the system collapsed. Now, the judges ruled that Odinga should have filed applications at the same time he filed the petition. Well, similarly, the court has rejected Raila's plea for introduction of additional evidence. The judges ruled that a 900-page affidavit and its annexes introducing fresh evidence be expunged from court records. IEBC had argued that there was limited time for it to respond to the bulky document. In the ruling, the court ordered Odinga to pay for costs for the proceedings challenging the additional affidavits. Well, earlier in the afternoon, the court rejected a request by Katiba Institute to be enjoined in the suit as a friend of the court, citing bias on the part of Yashpal Gai towards third respondent Uhuru Kenyatta and fourth respondent William Ruto. And tomorrow, attention will be on the court's ruling on a plea by AFRICOG asking the court to compel IEBC to furnish the court with the manual voter registers. Well, those are the supreme highlights, all the things that happened this day in the Supreme Court. We now go over to James Smart and Sophia Wanuna to indeed give us more of these details. Just to go over some of those issues there was a forensic audit plea which has been rejected, and we can cross over to James Smart and Sophia Wanuna at the Supreme Court.
Thank you, Betty. Now, here at the Supreme Court, we begin with 2 major legal setbacks for the court team, and that is the rejection of 2 applications they filed before the judges.
Well, the judges earlier this afternoon threw out an application by Raila Odinga's legal team seeking to introduce additional evidence of alleged electoral irregularities. The court gave orders to expunge the 839-page affidavit by Raila lawyers, arguing that the application was time-barred and would introduce new issues into the petition. Indeed,
also ruled out of order was another application by court seeking to have a forensic audit of the equipment used by the IEBC during the March 4th election. KTN's Rita Tinina has more from the courtroom.
After a morning of arguments and counter-arguments on the second and last day of the presidential petition pre-trial conference, the afternoon session saw Supreme Court judges deliver their ruling on matters before the court. An application by Raila Odinga's legal team to have respondents in the petition reply to an 839-page affidavit had earlier caused a heated argument.
There is not one quote petitioner's affidavit in reply, but 7 affidavits in total. This aspect was not addressed by any of the parties who submitted before us.
Arguments by counsel that it would take time to reply to the affidavit was upheld by the court.
The remaining time before the trial is not reasonably adequate for the respondent to file any reasonable answer.
According to the judges, the affidavit would introduce new issues that would change the character of the petition.
We hereby expunge from the court records the petitioner's affidavit sworn on 22nd March 2013, together with all the annexures, which include the other affidavits.
Another application by Raila Odinga's lawyers for a forensic audit of the equipment used by the IEBC during the election was also dismissed.
The court cannot grant the order sought without seriously jeopardizing the hearing of the petition. In view of the foregoing reasons, the application is hereby declined. We make no order as to cause.
And Professor Yashpal Gai will not be enjoined as a friend of the court. In their opposition to his application, lawyers had argued that the former commissioner of the now defunct Constitution of Kenya Review Commission was partisan.
this court is convinced that the perception of bias and partisanship with regard to the applicant in this matter exists. In view of the foregoing, the court's position is that the application by the Katiba Institute for admission to the status of amicus curiae is disallowed.
The two-day hearing of the historic petition kicks off at 9:30 a.m. Wednesday. Judges have until Saturday the 30th to deliver their ruling on the landmark case that will no doubt set a precedent for the country. Rita Tinina, KTN.
All right, and this is the home of that titanic legal battle. We sit right outside the Supreme Court, so if you've been here the entire day, just what mood did you get from the lawyers and the Supreme Court as they entered and argued the case today?
Of course, there's a lot of eagerness to just get on with it. It's just 2 days of the pre-trial hearings. It's now over and it's now gearing up to the hearings that begin tomorrow. But you could tell, you know, inside there, those kind of punches, verbal ones from the various counsel. But at the end of the day, after the sessions, they mingled just like friends. They'd laugh, they look relaxed. But at the same time, in most of the breaks, actually, they were ending the sessions and all just zooming out of here, I guess, to go to their own people to just tighten up loose ends and decide what's next.
Interesting. I mean, it's a tasking thing. I mean, just watching it, and I mean, the country has been following every process and procedures of it, and just watching it, how tasking is it for the lawyers? You know, they have to go back to the back room and figure out what has happened, what went wrong, and what went right.
Yes.
But then you see, in the floor of the House, they throw jabs at each other.
Yes.
But then again, in the breaks, they talk.
They talk, yeah, exactly. That's, you know, it's very interesting because inside there, it's, you know, game face, the kind of things they say to each other. But at the end of the day, it's the interest of their clients. Even when you'd hear in some of the, when they were making submissions on time, and some of the counsel were arguing that we should get more time than other than this respondents because of our case, each would uphold the interest of their clients. So at the end of the day, for each of this counsel, it's all about the interest of their clients, and they want to put their best foot forward, and really the showdown begins tomorrow, James.
All right, obviously we'll have Ambrose Sweder, who will be giving us, you know, the legal nitties that has happened today and walk us through what has happened today. But I must ask you about Naslin Omar. Yesterday she threw, you know, a whole drama at the Supreme Court.
Yes.
Took the Supreme Court by surprise and, you know, held the Supreme Court hostage, if you like. Where was she today?
She was here actually, only that today she was not given the limelight. She came, she wanted to get into the Supreme Court again and address the Supreme Court judges. She was not given that opportunity. She actually had a sit down, literally sat down outside the Supreme Court. Of course, had to be gotten out, and the Chief Registrar of the Judiciary then had a meet with her and explained to her that she just cannot come in and address the Supreme Court judges. There is a procedure, so she was advised to take her papers to the Chief Registrar of the Supreme Court so they can look at her papers, look at on what grounds she wants to appear and address the Supreme Court judges, and if they find there is legal ground and that there is jurisdiction for whatever she wants to address them on, then she will be given that time.
Indeed.
All right, let's move on. At the KICC, just a stone's throw away from here, agents of the various parties to these petitions began the retallying of votes from 22 polling stations as ordered by the Supreme Court.
Now, the fresh tallying follows allegations of massive discrepancies between the declared results and that which was announced at the polling stations. KTN's Catherine Omantho now joins us live with the details. Catherine.
Thank you, James and Sophia. Now, the court team may have lost out today in the ruling, but the order that was given by the Supreme Court yesterday has taken effect, with the 10 agents who are currently counting or retallying results from 22 polling stations using Form 34 and 36. Now, these are the forms that are used to make the final announcement, the final presidential announcement on the 9th of March by the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commissioner Isaac Hassan. Now, just earlier we were at the KICC where the retallying center is, and and we managed to get a few shots, although the media was very restricted in going in and giving those shots, but we got some. And we also got the judges going in later on at around 6:30, looking at how the retallying process is taking place. Now, this retallying process is also being overseen by agents of all the parties involved in the petition. So I was earlier in KSCC, and this is what I filed for you.
Now at 7:30 this morning, Chief Registrar of the Judiciary Gladys Sholay swore in 10 agents representing each party within this petition. Now these agents will be tasked to scrutinize Form 36 and 34 of 22 polling stations. This retallying exercise was brought about by a request by the Coalition for Reforms and Democracy, saying that there was a discrepancy within these 22 polling stations. Now the agents have been here since morning, and they will be here all night until tomorrow, when results are expected to be presented to the Supreme Court judges by 3 p.m. At 6:30 this evening, the Supreme Court judges, all 6 of them, entered the retallying center, where they will supervise and monitor the process for as long as they can.
These are the 31st, and this is our own. And then we go to the IEBC. Yes, they'll keep the same routine, so they are supervised.
Now, as you see, the judges left at around 7 o'clock, 5 minutes to 7 this evening, and went back to their chambers as the retallying process continued to go on. And it will go on until possibly later on tonight, and there will be results. Results have to be given to the Supreme Court by 3:30 or 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Another thing that I wanted to mention is that the court had also ruled that Form 34 and 36 of all 33,000 polling stations also need to be scrutinized, because they say that there's a discrepancy within the registered voters and also the number of votes cast among these tallies. So this is what's going to go on for the rest of the night. We'll be keeping vigil to give you information as they come. I will hand you back to James and Sophia.
All right, and here out of the Supreme Court, I'm now joined by Ambrose Weda, who's a council member, Law Society of Kenya, advocate of the High Court. Karibu sana.
Thank you.
It's been a great day, would you say?
It has been. It has been a fruitful day, full of many things.
All right, yeah. I'll be coming to get those legal details of just what happened today and the implication from Ambrose Weda just when we come back. Back to you, Betty.
Thank you very much, James Smart. Looking forward to that. Now, like we promised, we have been keeping track of how Kenyans across the country have been following the proceedings at the Supreme Court. And we're now joined live by Mercy Kandie from Eldoret. Mercy, what is the mood there?
Yes, thank you very much. The mood here in Eldoret town, residents are very anticipating of the 30th, the day of the ruling, and the residents that we talked to are saying that although much of the language that is being used in the court is considered as jargon to them, they're saying that they have a lot of faith with the judiciary. We talked to what is termed as Bunge la Mwananchi, where people who call themselves politicians within the local residents within town gather and share their views about the petition, the election, if there'll be a runoff, their own views. So we talked to some of them, and they're saying that they will also ensure that there is peace even during the whole petition hearing and after it. So we talked to a few residents today in the morning, those who are watching from hotels and restaurants within Eldoret town, and this is what they had to say. Take a look.
Of that part will depend on your ruling. So if it should be because I think this contest goes beyond
lakini kwa communication wako sawa kabisa. Tunaelewa ile lugha wanatumia ni ile mzuri, sio ile ya terms and lawyer, ni ile ya mwananchi ya kawaida.
Jana jioni nilikaa kwa nyumba nikachungulia kama masaa 3 kwa nyumba mpaka television yangu ikaisha moto. Kwangu TV yangu inakuwa ni ya sola, kwa hivyo moto ikaisha haraka. Kwa hivyo leo nitaiona kama usiku kwa sababu nitafungulia kama saa 2.
Imani yetu yote kama Wakenya ambayo tulipiga kura tumeweka kwa mahakama. So tunatarajia kwamba mahakama itatufanyia haki.
Kulingana na sisi watu wa Eldoret hapa tunaijua kwamba tulipiga kura kwa amani na tulimaliza kwa amani, na sisi tuliona hii uchaguzi hatukukuwa na tashwishi yoyote.
Well, there you have it, residents of Eldoret town airing their views about the current petition. Well, they have a lot on their mind. The governor's swearing is in tomorrow. They are anticipating that. The senator's swearing in coming the following day. And also it is a farming season here in the North Rift region. So yes, as a North Rift, as a region, they have a lot in their minds. And even as they wait for the petition, most of the residents we talk to, they say they have full faith in the judiciary. From Eldoret town, Amasi Kandia, I hand you back to Betty Kialo in our studios in Nairobi.
Thank you very much, Masi Kandie. We'll also try to link up with our reporter from Kisumu County, Fred Omulo, to just tell us what exactly has been happening at